In this video, I'm going to tell you everything you need to know about digital downloads, what they are, what kinds of things you should be designing for digital downloads, and the file types and how to save them. Let's go. Thanks for joining me on this video. My name is Juna with Detour Shirts. In this video, I wanted to talk about digital downloads and all the things that I know about how to do digital downloads. I've done a few of these on my website, www.detourshirts.com. You can see these downloads right here. And I think now is a really good time to kind of explain what digital downloads are and how to make them. I know Ryan, a fellow YouTuber and print-on-demand seller, is going to do some videos about how to help you with digital downloads. So I'm going to show you how to make digital downloads, and you can check out Ryan's videos. I'm going to put a link to his video in the description when he does his. I know he's going to explain an app that can help you kind of expand this digital download thing, which is a really cool thing if you want to sell on Etsy or on Shopify or any of those things like that. So one of the really nice things about digital downloads and why people love this is because there's no inventory and you don't have to pay a printer for it. So you don't have to worry about things getting lost in shipping and things like that. It's just an instant download. So I'm going to show you how to make digital downloads in Affinity Designer. That's my app of choice. Of course, you can use free apps like Inkscape, or if you have Illustrator, you could do that. Just follow along. I'm going to do some really basic things, just show you what it is. I'm going to tell you about different file types and what they are and how to do that. So you're going to want to stay to the end to catch all of these. I'll section them off so you can jump to those different sections if you already know the section that I'm talking about. So let's get started on what kinds of things you can design for digital downloads. All right, so the first thing we're going to answer is what? What kinds of things can you design for digital downloads? The answer may surprise you. There's so many different things that you can make for digital downloads. On my site, Detour Shirts right here, you can see I have some graphics, I have flags, I have vector food packs, I have badges like this. But I also have helpful things, like you have the calendar. A lot of you download these free things, how to draw, like you can do a lot of different things here. And let's go to Etsy so you can see some other examples that you may not have thought of. So on Etsy, look, there's a resume. Lots of people need that for looking for jobs. You got maps, like digital maps. You got a digital planner, another resume. These are hot right now. You have just digital artwork. So think of things that people need for their t-shirts. We want to make it easy for them to make their t-shirts. So people would come in here, if they need a heart, they just download this. Look at that. Pay 50 cents and you can get that. Kind of monograms, stuff for like mugs and things like that. You know, you can lay something out. Planners again. Let's see what else we got here. Digital, you can download digital artwork. So if you're an artist and you want to make posters, you can have someone pay for a poster that they can print themselves. So you don't have to. They can go to, you know, Kinko's or Office Max or something and print your poster at a bigger size, but they have the download. Let's see, you get maps again. You know, you could do a pack of designs and graphics for Mother's Day and Father's Day and things like that. So those are cool. Look at this custom handwriting stuff. So if you're really good at handwriting and drawing, you could do your own custom kind of font and writing, maybe different words that you would use on a t-shirt. Flowers, like the list goes on. Patterns, this is a good one. So if you're really good at making patterns, look, digital download of different types of leopard patterns. So you can do all the different colors in Affinity Designer. Look at this person just wrote this. Mistakes make me learn in their own handwriting. And it's a quote that they can download. So tons of things. Photographs is a digital download, you know, things like that. Outlines and things like that. So lots of different ideas. Go to Etsy, type in, I went up here and I just typed in digital downloads, and you can see just tons of different ideas to get you thinking. So that's the what. The what is a lot of things. So basically anything that would save the t-shirt designer time and bring them value, that would be a really good thing for you to do as a t-shirt designer yourself. You know what other t-shirt designers need. And so provide that value. So now that we know the what, let me show you the how in Affinity Designer. All right, so here we are in Affinity Designer. You can see I opened up a file. Here's an example of what you could do for a t-shirt design. Now this is a super simple t-shirt design. All I did was type in Blessed with Thirsty Soft here, and this one is Veneer Clean. And then I just drew a heart, you know, with the heart shape right here, and the arrow with the arrows here. It's just super simple. Now you may not want to just do one. You could just do one as a digital download. You've seen some of those on Etsy, but what I think would be more valuable is to do a whole pack. So do like, you know, 5, 6, 10 of these different ones for mom, and then that way the person who's downloading this has different examples to pull from, so they don't just have the same thing. They can kind of create their own stuff with all the different graphics and different text that you gave them. One thing that I wanted to note that I didn't say in the Etsy thing is that some people use these as pre-cut design files. So they do it for laser cutting, they do it for some really cool like engraving and things like that. So it would be good to do it black and white like this so that they can use this file, and you're gonna have to save this file as a DXF file, and I'll show you where to do that later on. Keep that in mind. So one thing you really want to do though here is make sure not to save it as a font. So when you're ready to save this, click on these and each one of these and convert this to curves. Just right here, convert to curves, and click on that. You can see now it's not a font, it's an object. So the reason for that is sometimes when you download something in a specific kind of file, it will still remember the font. And if the person doesn't have the font on their computer, it's not going to show up the same way. So you're going to want to change this to be not a font. Convert to curves again. This one's still a font. You can see Veneer Clean. The other person who downloads this may not have Veneer Clean, and so it's not going to look the same. So convert it to curves, and this way it's an object, right? It's not a font. The other thing that you can make are things like these. So you can see this is a pack that I made as a digital download. One thing you may want to do too is if you're going to save these in a certain size, somebody might want to use this as a t-shirt size, right? So when you're saving your size, make sure it's big enough. So one thing you can do is when you click on this, let's say I'm just going to save the cupcake. I'm going to export it. So Command Option Shift S in Affinity Designer. You can see all these different ways of saving it. I'm going to show you what each of these mean in a little bit, but what you want to do is you want to save it at the right size. So let's say I'm saving my PNG because that's what we use for t-shirt design styles. You can see if I just do the selection only, which is the cupcake, it's really small. It's only 300. And if they wanted to use it for the big size of the shirt, it has to be bigger than that. So what I would suggest is do it at 5,000 right here. And then you can see this one's going to change to 5,000. Then export it at that size. So that's really important to do. The size is important, especially for PNG files, because you know it has to be that size. If you're going to try and scale a PNG file, it's going to pixelate and things like that. So make sure it's a really big size when you're saving your files. All right, I think that's everything we need to know. If you want to learn how to draw and design in Affinity Designer, I have a ton of other videos on my channel on how to draw this and how to make patterns and how to do these kinds of things. But you can see here, this one's full color. You can do those kinds of things. If you want to draw a whole poster and things like that in full color, you can do that in Affinity Designer too. You could also just take photography if you want to do that and have them download as a poster. That would be great too. But remember, for the pre-cut, it has to be black and white like this. So if you're going to say perfect for pre-cut, or if you're going to save it as a DXF file, they're going to need to be like this, black and white, right? These can still be used for other stuff, you know, for like downloads for t-shirts and stickers and things like that as graphics. So there's another thing that you can do if you're not an artist and you don't know how to draw these things, you're not comfortable in Affinity Designer, or you just don't have any ideas. One thing you could do is go to the internet and look for free SVGs or free public domain things to get some ideas, and then either trace that or manipulate the SVGs that are online. Let me show you what I mean. So you could go to the internet and go to free SVG and make sure that they have public domain license, right? You don't want to just take anything out there. Make sure that they have good license on it. But things like this and SVG, you can download these things and kind of manipulate them, change them a little bit, and put them in a pack. Maybe you want to do something, you can take the time and do everything that you find about Mother's Day or Father's Day or Valentine's Day or some kind of topic and put that in a nice bundle. That way it's more valuable for the customer. So look through these, get some ideas, maybe this one is good, but not everything would be good on a t-shirt, right? So you gotta have to go through these and maybe put them in bundles that actually make sense. So that's another way that you could do it, is to just look online, make sure to look for good public domain license. That means it's free for anybody to use. You don't want to take stuff that actually belong to people, and make sure that they have the right license. But then you can go in here and download these things and maybe put your own spin on it too, or download a whole bunch and make it a good bundle. So now I wanted to talk about the digital download file types. So these are the 6 that I see a lot on Etsy and other places. I'm going to explain each one so that you can see what they stand for and what they're about. So the first one is SVG. It stands for Scalable Vector Graphics. Basically, it's a big vector, of course, that you can scale up and down, because vectors, that's what vectors do. And this is a very popular one because, of course, people want to make sure that it doesn't pixelate, right? They want to make sure that it can go big or small, and depending on what they're going to use. So SVG is a really good one. The next one is PNG. If you've done print on demand, you're familiar with PNG, and people love this one. It's Portable Network Graphic. It was PNG. You don't have to know that, but that's what it stands for. And this is great because you can have a transparent background on this one. So that's why it's used on Merch by Amazon and Redbubble and all of those. So people love PNG for that reason. If they're already going to put it on t-shirts, they can download it and just upload it to Redbubble and things like that, right? DXF stands for Drawing Interchange File. The X is interchange. I don't know why they just didn't do DIF, but people love the X letter, so they put that in there. But this is like the pre-cut file. This is that file that I was talking about for like laser cutting and things like that. So people love this file DXF. So if you can do that, that would be great. The next one is EPS. This was used a lot. It's kind of like SVG and PNG. This is a EPS where you can kind of scale it to. People love this. Very popular for Photoshop and Illustrator and things like that. So EPS, I always provide that as well. It's just real easy to do. JPEG, this is kind of the original one that was used before everything else. The JPEG was the go-to, and so I think people put JPEG in there just because it's been used a lot, right? It stands for Joint Photographic Experts Group. They dropped the E in there, and basically that's the people who started JPEG, who made that JPEG file, that real small that you can compress it. And the last thing is AI, Adobe Illustrator. A lot of people use Adobe Illustrator, and so you can save it as that type of file so that they can open it in Illustrator and do those kinds of things. So these are the 6, and there's all of them right there. The ones that you can do in Affinity Designer are these 4. So if you go to export, you can export as a SVG or export as a PNG or a EPS or a JPEG. But you can export as a DXF or an AI file. I'll show you where you can do that on the internet. So here's a site where you can convert your PNGs or SVGs into a DXF file and an AI file. So there's lots of different files you can do here. It is convertio.co. I have my Blessed Mama PNG here, so you just drag it on here. You can see Blessed, and then it's going to ask you, what do you want to convert it to? So you can see here, I convert it to SVG. They have a lot more selection here, but let's see. So you go down to CAD and do DXF, and you can also add a AI file. So in vector AI file right here. So either one, you can just hit convert. Let's do the DXF and the CAD here, CAD, DXF, and hit convert. And you can see it's just working. And it takes a little while, but you can see it's finished. And then you can download that DXF file. So that's how you would do it if you want to do a DXF file. One thing that's nice that I think Ryan's going to talk in his video is that app that he's talking about. I think it does all of this for you. So there's one more thing that you actually have to do when you want to sell digital downloads, and that is to make the mockups for it. So just like in my site, let me show you what I'm talking about. So whether you're selling on Etsy or you're selling on Shopify, you're going to need some mock-ups here, and this kind of to explain what's coming in your pack, right? Explaining this is the kind of files, kind of giving you a preview of what you're getting. And so you can do that in Affinity Designer as well. Just mock it all up and save these as the mockups. But again, I think the app that Ryan's going to talk about actually does this for you too. So it can save you a lot of time to do your mockups. And I believe it's going to help you write text. You're going to have to write text on what it is and things like that. What are you getting in the pack? Make sure to write this kind of thing. You're getting EPS files and SVG and things like that. So that's everything you need to know on how to do a digital download. You can create those in Affinity Designer. You can save it to different file types. Make sure that you save the mockups and explain what's going on. Again, same like when you're designing t-shirts, do the research and find out what people actually want to buy and design that. So just make sure that what you're designing brings a lot of value to the customer, what things that they need to help them in whatever they're doing. Either maybe they want a poster, they want to do a t-shirt design, maybe they want a resume or a book or something like that. Make sure that you know what that is and design something that has value. So the last thing you want to do is you're going to zip these files together. And what that means is you're going to compress all of these together so that it's in a nice file, one download, and people can download it. And then they open up the folder or unzip the folder and you'll see all the different things that you save. So let me show you what I mean. I have my folder here. I'm going to open it up. So you can see here in my food pack one, for example, I have EPS files, I have PNG files, I have SVG files. I also have the EPS as a whole thing, the PDF as a whole thing, and the food pack as a Affinity Designer. I don't have Illustrator, so someone could come in here when they unzip the file, they can see all these things, and each of these foods are a separate PNG. So like I said, I saved it as a bigger size in a PNG. Same thing with the SVG file, each individual one. So you can see it's pretty detailed. When somebody opens this up, they can have all these different things, EPS as well for each one of these foods, right? So the way you're going to do this is you're going to save it into a folder. So all of these are in one folder. And then once you do that, you can compress it. So let's go here. So what you're going to do is you're going to click on your folder right here and then go to Finder. And if you have a Mac, not sure how you do this on a PC, but on a Mac, you go to File and then hit Compress. So once you do that, it's going to compress that file into a zip. You see that right there? And that's what you save as your download. You drag this into your Shopify or Etsy files. It's going to say, what do you want them to download? This. You want them to download the zip file. And that's how easy it is. And then when somebody downloads this on their file after they download it, all they're going to do is double click on it. And it's going to unzip it and make a separate folder, or they'll have this folder right here. You can see it unzipped it and made that pack. And it named it a little different because I already have one right here, but that's the idea. So that's what you're going to have to do, is zip it all together, compress it all together, just so it's a smaller file and it's easier for someone to download just that one file. So that is it for this video. Thanks so much for watching. Hopefully you learn a little bit more about what digital downloads are. It's a really cool idea because you can make so many different things. I think it's a win-win for both sides because you can make it and you don't have to pay for, especially if you're on Etsy, you don't have to pay for any print fees like you would for a t-shirt or something like that. You can just make your stuff and it'll be there, and it's win for the customer because they can just instantly download it. So it's a win-win thing. It's really cool to do. Hopefully this video kind of helped you get some ideas, spark some ideas on what you can do. And Affinity Designer is great, but if you have Inkscape, or if you want to do it in Canva, if you want to do it in Illustrator, you can do it in any of those apps. Just think about what you want to do and put it out there, and you can let it sit because it doesn't cost you anything but time. You're not paying anything. So I think it's a really good thing, and especially if you're designing t-shirts already and you have a lot of the files that you don't want to push to make t-shirts, you can design for this as well, and people love those kinds of things. So hopefully, again, like this video is really helpful for you. If it was, make sure to give it a thumbs up. And if you're not subscribed to this channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button. And make sure to check out Ryan's video. I think he's going to talk about ways that that app can actually help you make more digital files, help you with the whole digital downloads, make it a lot easier. I explained what you would need to do by yourself, but I think having an app like that can actually help you do these things a lot faster and quicker. So the question of the day is, have you downloaded any digital downloads before? Hopefully from my shop, but if you haven't, let me know in the description what you have downloaded and what is beneficial for you. Maybe that can help you think about what you should be designing for other people. Thanks again for watching, and if you want to see more videos about different things to design and how to design things that you can make for digital downloads, make sure to click on these videos right here. And as always, guys, keep creating and keep learning. I'll see you on the next one. Bye.